All right, hey guys, welcome to the second workshop for the cozy game garden that we're working on. Today we're gonna work on buttons and plots. So essentially like interaction, player interaction with garden plots. Uh, the agenda: if anyone does not have Unity, you're gonna need Unity installed. Does everyone have Unity? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, and then introduction, catching up, and digging plots, planting, and growing. And then Nikita's going to go over a vertex shader. All right, and then Lewis, is there anything you want to mention with this? Okay. All right, we're going to skip that. All right, so I'll hand it off to Nikita.
Yes. Hello, guys. I guess you all remember me from last workshop, but if you're new, I'm gonna mention again. My name is Nikita. I'm learning computer graphics for 6 months, studying FIU, majoring in computer science. I won the hackathon with my knowledge of computer graphics, so I think it's gonna make me more credentials for explaining the things to you guys. So yeah, and I'm gonna pass it to Samuel.
All right, my name's Samuel Arminana. I've been using Unity since I was 13, so in 2013. Uh, I got my undergrad degree at UCF for computer science and graduated in 2021 and have been using Unity like really since like 2013, 2014. Um, and like the last 4 years, I was working as a like senior Unity developer at an ed tech company. It was a video game for K through 6, teaching math and English. And after my contract ended, I decided to come back and do my master's in computer engineering. All right, so the structure of the workshop, we're gonna have uh, 4 different workshops working on this game, and then eventually do like a special edition workshop through like walking through tooling that you would find in a typical like studio environment, and high-end shader effects that Nikita's gonna go over. And then ideally, mid-April, we're gonna have a game jam here at FIU, and it'll be a 24-hour game jam. And during the game jam, give another workshop, just refresh people on things and uh, go over some fun things. So we'll see what happens. All right, why Unity? I already did this one last workshop, but here are the stats. Like, there is a high demand in Unity and C Sharp jobs in general, and it's in a pretty good skill to have for uh, like for finding work, like sourcing work. So you could do contracting, you could do like consulting, you could do startups. There's like so many different avenues that you can jump into from having that background in Unity that like it's just not going to go away anytime soon. And also, Unity is used for much more than just games. You can do 3D visualizations, like digital twins. Orlando, New York, they're making the like a digital copy of the city so they can model out uh, like traffic and pedestrian traffic and things like that. And then like Boeing, AR maintenance, military training, uh, even like car companies are using it for powering like digital experiences. All right, and then what's next? So there are certifications with Unity that you like go in person and you do like a actual test, and then they also have like or sorry, they have the pathways. So the pathways, like you get an actual certification, you do an in-person test. The Unity certifications, you could do that online and just like unlock these badges and like get a in-depth review on that topic. All right, now we need to get started. So we're gonna start off right where we last left off, and also install a new package, Unity package. So we have to go to this URL, go.fiu.edu / Explore Hub. And then that'll take you to this Explore Hub Notion page. And then scroll down to Game Development under Spring 2026. And then select this second workshop link. So we're going to download the content pack number 2. And I also included a zip file of the last workshop where we last left off. Like, I would highly recommend, even if you do have your version, just like starting off on this version and downloading this zip. All right, so open up the zip file and download it. This is going to be the, all right, so download it on the left side. This is the content from the last workshop. So we're going to open up our Unity Hub. All right, so we're going to be in the Unity Hub. We're going to have had downloaded our zip file for the Workshop 1 ending point project files. So make sure you download this zip, and you also download this Unity package. All right, so go back to the Unity Hub and hit add project from disk, and go to your downloads. Find the zip file in your downloads and make sure it's unzipped. And then open up into the folder and then just hit open here. And then Unity will create a new project entry, and you just click on it and open it.
Can you go over again, like by opening project?
Yeah, so hit add project from disk, find your download, and just hit open.
But when it download the like on the Google Drive, they open like the package, not the actual project.
So when you open it from Google Drive, you're going to see this. And on the top left, there's a download button. You good? Got it? Okay. So everybody should have the project open. This should be what you're seeing. All right, so we have the project open. We're gonna finish off where we last left off on adding in the camera and animations. So we're just gonna work on the character movement and the animations, and then the camera follow. Make sure we have the idle and walk animations, and implement the Cinemachine package. All right, so Cinemachine is a Unity package that implements like movie quality camera lens controls and view guides. So it'll help you set up like cinematic views and cameras, and also it has a lot of implementations for like third person follow, like first person, in general just a camera follow, camera tracks, and like dollies. Like if you have a like a railroad track that you want your camera to follow, you can like set that up and like rotate it like right out of the box just from this. So yeah, great for cinematic cutscenes and in general any camera needs that you have. But it also comes with overhead, like the Cinemachine, since it's a Unity package, it's going to be coming with the overhead of like everything else that it implements is going to be running. So if you want like super minimal code, you're going to be better off like just running like a camera follow function and like a minimal script like that. And then the animator, we're going to, let's go over that next actually. So let's just set up the camera follow. So if you remember, we last left off on sample scene. And we had that grass. All right, well, we had the sample scene. So let's go into the sample scene, and if we hit play, we'll see our character just moving around. So what we're gonna do is implement the Cinemachine. So what we have to do is go to the package manager, and it'll be on the top left here in this like storage bin icon. So open up the project manager, and then in the package manager, click on Unity registry, and this contains all the packages that you can, like that Unity offers, and also Unity asset files. So if you go to the asset store, this is where you're going to be downloading your packages. All right, and then in Unity registry, search for Cinemachine and hit install. And then it's going to give you a warning about an invalid signature. So we're just going to close out of that. I'm not sure what happened with Unity, but for some reason, their packages are unsigned. And then inside of the sample scene, all right, inside the sample scene, you're going to go to the hierarchy and right-click on it and select Create. Or you can actually hit the top left here, and it'll create here. So create a Cinemachine, targeted camera, follow camera. And here we're gonna set the follow offset inside of, all right, so you'll see when we made it, it created this new object, Cinemachine camera. Inside of here, we have this component, Cinemachine camera, Cinemachine follow, and Cinemachine rotation composer. So the rotation composer handles like the rotating of the camera, the Cinemachine follow, obviously the follow, and then Cinemachine, this provides the like functionality for the camera. And then on the main camera that we had in the scene, where we have our camera component, you'll see it added a Cinemachine brain, and that basically connects to the Cinemachine camera component and implements the functionality. So inside of the Cinemachine camera, we're gonna set the tracking target here to the player. So we're just gonna drag the player over to tracking target. And you'll see it moved our camera. And also when we're in our game view, we see like these guidelines, like the blue line with the yellow dot. So the yellow dot is the target, the blue lines is just like centering the camera. All right, so we're going to set the follow offset to about 5, or actually about 8, and set the z to about -6. And now you'll see the character is like in frame, looking down, like from the follow camera. So if I hit play now, as long as I have this object selected, it's going to show these guidelines. But if I deselect it, they'll go away. And then you'll see the camera is following the player. Yeah. So let's recap. So what we did, we hit create, Cinemachine, targeted camera, follow camera. Once we have the follow camera, it'll create this new object called Cinemachine camera in the scene. This one just has the follow component and the rotation component. And then we're going to assign the tracking target to player. And then we're going to set the follow offset in the follow component to 8 for the Y and -6 for the Z. Or something around there. You can play with it. It doesn't have to be exact. All right, and then now when you hit play, your camera should follow your character. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody is here at this step? Good? Oh, is it loading? Man, I wish I had another laptop to lend you. Lewis, there's no other laptop to spare?
No, mine doesn't.
No,
have
I'm
a
messing with you. I'm messing with you.
No, I would have known first.
Everybody good? Camera's moving? Okay. Everybody? All right. Okay, so we can move on to the animations. All right, so the animator is the Unity's process for implementing animations. You could actually just implement them straight directly through animation file references, but this is the most recommended way for dealing with other other developers. So you're going to be dealing with animators and designers, and they're going to want to be able to control animations and not require a developer. So Unity's approach to it is having this animator system, and it's a window for native state machine, and you can have layers and conditional logic for animation control. So you can have like different states and direct them to different points. And then each of these states you could assign custom behavior to. So you could have a animation that plays and trigger an event when it hits a frame. So if you wanted to implement footsteps or VFX and things like that, you would create a custom state behavior for like interacting with the animator. And then you can also make logic trees, so you can actually make like state machines outside of just animations. So you could do like NPC and AI logic. You can do a character controller for like running, walking, sprinting. You can do dialogue trees, quest logic, and even like a UI controller. Like if you have your main menu, you have links to your options and where you can go from your options at that point. So it'll probably make more sense once you see what the animator window looks like, but let's go through to actually open it. So in our game folder, we're going to create a new folder for animations. I'm going to call it animations, and then inside create a animator. So we're going to create a new animation / animator controller. So we're going to call this player. And then in the window, under window, animation, animator, you can open up the animator window. All right. So the animator window, once you open it up, you'll see this is pretty much it. Like there's a entry point, and then from any state, you can jump into like a different node. So I'll go through what this means exactly. So let me create a new state here. Let's create a new state, and everybody should see this. All right, so you're going to see this window, and when you create a new state, you're going to see this new orange state. Let's click on it, and in the inspector, we're going to be able to change the properties. So we're going to change this new state to just walk. Huh? A new animation controller. So you have a folder called animations. Inside the animations folder, you have your player animator controller. Okay, so you have your player animator controller, and then you click on it. When you click on it, you have the object selected, and the animator window will update to whatever you have selected. So we're gonna have our player. We right-click on it, create state, empty state. And then create two new states, and have one be idle and one be walk. All right, and then we're going to make a transition, and we're going to click it from any state over to walk, and we're going to change this any state over to idle. So we could also make a transition directly from here and back to here, but I'm just going to go over what this any state does, and it's actually pretty useful for like events. And once we implement the actual farming, we're going to have like a farming animation. So we want to be able to jump from like any state that you are, just jump into that farming. So create those two links, and then the conditions. So click on the link. We're going to make a transition. Click on the transition, and then select the settings. Or sorry, select the conditions here. And then it's going to say parameter does not exist. So in our animator window, on the top left here, we can see two tabs, one for layers, one for parameters. So layers lets you create different like state machines. So if I created a new layer here, it's just like I created a new state machine. Well, and from this layer, I can add in like influence from other animations. So if there was like a running animation and the character's running, and then you have like a body hit animation, like the character's running, they get hit with a bullet, and then they jump back. That would be like a different layer that you would put that hit effect animation in. And then you would just overlay that on top of the running animation that you're already playing. But we're just going to have one base layer, so don't worry about making a new layer. Keep in the base layer, and then in parameters, let's create a new float, and let's call it speed. So parameters lets us create logic inside the state machine just from having like these basic properties for float, integer, boolean, and trigger. So we'll go over trigger later when we're implementing farming, but for now we just have a float for speed. And when we click on the transition now, you're going to see the conditions. There's a drop down here, and there's an option for speed, and we can change less than or greater than. So we're going to change the condition for speed to be less than 0.5 for it to go to idle. And then for walk transition, we're going to change the speed to be greater than 0.5. All right, so we have the transition set up. We have the states. Now we have to implement the motion. So we're going to find where our animations are, and it's in third party under creative characters.
Sorry, can you go again about the speed, how you add this note?
In the parameters tab on the top right, there's a plus on the top left. Welcome, welcome.
So how do I add the speed of animation?
The speed,
Yeah.
you just create a new parameter and a float parameter and just call it speed.
Yeah, and after that?
And after that, you're good. So after that, link it to the transitions.
Wait, this to this?
Yeah, under conditions, hit the plus button. Let me walk over it. So each of those transitions, when you click on it, it'll give you properties in the inspector. And then you can set conditions, speed should be less than 0.5 for idle and more than 0.5 for walk. Hey man, are you here for the workshop?
Yeah.
Hey, we did get started, but let me, Lewis or Nikita, would you guys be able to set him up, like bring him up to speed? Welcome, welcome. All right, are we all set? We have the conditions set up. The state machine exists. All good, Lewis?
Yeah, I think we're sure.
Okay, so now we have to select the motion, and when we click on the state, you can see there's a motion field, and when you click on the bullseye, it'll show you animations. So let's find the animations from like the third-party package that we're using. So expand the third-party folder, find the creative characters free, and then go under animations, and then go under animation mesh. Hold on. Okay, so go under other animations. This is where we're going to go. Other animations. And make sure to, if you select another animator controller, you're going to see it updates to show you that content. So we're going to just go back to our player animator, select our state again, and for walk, we're going to want the walk_forward animation, and drag that to the motion for walk. And then for idle, we're just going to use the idle relaxed. And that's it. Okay, so select the player animator. Select your state for idle and for walk. And for idle, we're going to use idle relaxed as the motion. Just drag that animation in under the motion. And then for walk, we're going to use walk forward, walk underscore forward. Okay, so we have our motion set up. We have it on idle and walk. So next, let's go to our character underneath our player inside the hierarchy, inside the scene. So find your player, expand the player, and select character. And then you have your character selected. On the right side, you're going to see in the inspector the animator. We're going to drag our animator controller underneath this controller property. So just drag that animator, put it underneath the player. Okay, and then now when we hit play, you're going to see our character is just like idling. And when we move around, nothing's happening. So we can also test the animator, like we can change the parameters live. So if we click on our object in the hierarchy, any object with an animator, it'll also update the animator component or the animator window. So I have this one selected. I can see what's happening live, and I'm gonna put the speed to like 1. And then you're gonna see we're like moonwalking like through the scene. That's because in any state, like it's just gonna keep on repeating that effect. Like once this animation plays out, it's gonna go back to any state. So what we're gonna do is, just to fix this easy, we're just gonna disable can transition to self on both of these. And let me make sure that's working. Perfect. All right, so when I hit the transitions here, you can see I have, for the settings, I have can transition to self. I have that disabled. So select both of your transitions and disable can transition to self. And then now we have it working. We just have to actually hook up the speed to a proper variable. So what we're going to do is create a new script. And we're going to create a mono behavior and call it player animator. And then the animator is actually here inside of the Notion. Inside the Notion, there's a, underneath the project references, each of the scripts that we're going to walk through today are over here. So to optimize things, we're just going to copy and paste that script, the player animator, and paste it in to your new player animator component. So open it up. And then paste the content in. And then we're going to go over what exactly we're doing here. So is everybody here? Do you guys have the player animator script? So all we did was just create a new script. Create new mono behavior. And call it player animator. All right, we have the player animator. when we open the player animator, we're going to paste the content from the Notion page. Just double click the file. And then paste the content from Notion. So in Notion, underneath where we downloaded the project files and the zip and the content pack, should be the player animator. Huh? On his computer? Let me see.
Is this like what it comes with, or are we about to mess something up?
No, you open up the player controller. You want to open up the player animator.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, you can just close that.
You just want to minimize it. You don't have to close like each of the files.
Green.
And then open up Unity again. Oh, that one is it, yeah. No, it's Command A. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Everybody has a script. We can go over what the contents are. Okay, so open up the code editor. So let's go walk through each of these lines. Of course, we have the class declaration. So we're declaring the class. We're inheriting from model behavior. And then here, let's ignore this one for now. You'll see here I have a serialized field reference. And all this really does is tell Unity to save this value. Like, even though it's private, Unity will store this value inside of its serialization. So if I delete this, and you guys don't have to follow along, this is just for demonstration. If I delete this, and I go to my player objects, and add my player controller, or the player animator, you'll see there's no properties for me to edit. But if I add this back in, you'll see it gives me the option to set the animator. And then, yeah, so that's serialized field. Next up, there's a reference to the character controller. So here in awake, we're just assigning it automatically, so we don't have to drag anything in. So on the first ever frame that this opens up on, it's going to assign this character controller. And then in the update loop, we have the update animator object, or update animator method, and it accepts a vector3 for velocity. So all we're taking is the character controller dot velocity, which the character controller implements naturally. And also here, we're setting the, so we're taking the horizontal velocity, so we don't want to account for gravity. Even though the character's falling, we don't want the speed to increase. So we're just going to get the x and z values, get the magnitude of this new vector3. So the magnitude is just the length of the vector. So if the vector's at like y1, the length is going to be 1. If the vector's at like y3, the length is going to be 3. And then animator.setFloat, we're getting the reference to our animator. Inside the animator, there's a method for setFloat. We're giving it the ID of speed. So here we could just say speed. So here we could just say like speed and put a like a string, or we could do a ID reference and reference it by integer. So typically in programming, you want to avoid string comparisons and just string usage as much as you can. And so Unity accommodates for this by having a integer and like a ID reference. So it creates like a hash, and so any string turns into like a number. So all the parameters that you assign is just a number in Unity. And so when we want to reference it, we just we go to animator dot string to hash, which is like a static method that it has, and we put in speed, like the name of the parameter that we want, and then it turns it into the integer, like the hash number. And then from this, we can just set the float for this parameter hash, set it to this value. And so that's just like a micro optimization for animators, so you're not every frame referencing like a string, and it creates a little bit of a speed up. So that's the code. So in Unity, let's attach the player animator component to the player object. And then for the animator reference, we're going to drag the character 1 into it because the character 1 has the animator component where we assign the player controller. And then you should be able to hit play. And and it's not working. Oh, shit. Okay, so we're running into an issue where I was running into this last night. The velocity is not being set because we have two different move functions, and then this last one is the one that's actually updating the velocity. So this one's actually updating the velocity, but this last one doesn't effectively update the velocity. Do you have a question? All we did was add the player controller, or the player animator component. Add the animator reference from character 1.
I don't stop on the spawn, like just walk around, like catch up, like everyone have the same thing. Because
Yeah.
there's some stuff I'm not sure like how to explain them. I think you have better explanation.
All right, we'll catch up. Make sure everybody's caught up. So
we're just missing the animator, right?
yeah, so for some reason. Okay, I'm not sure which one you guys edited, but this is the file.
Animator, that's the one that we are on. Which one?
For some reason, it didn't update.
Okay, that's a different instance, definitely.
Yeah, it's especially a little complicated if you're not used to Mac. It's a headache.
Like today's ambiguous.
Yeah.
Look how many instances do we have open? Oh god, how many do we have?
Oof.
Is that why it's not working? Okay, it's gone. Alright, now we reopen
Okay,
again.
so you have your player. Now we can add the player animator. And then here we're going to reference just the animator. And then you guys should be all set up.
Thank you.
You guys are good?
Yeah, wait.
How is it here?
I'm not sure. They working all together. So can you explain about the script they have to create? Because I'm not sure.
Who's working on it? This computer?
Yeah.
So you're going to create the player animator script. Right click on the scripts folder and create new model behavior script and call it player animator. and then just paste over the content from the Notion. I don't know if you have it open. So scroll up, go to Project References, and then expand Player Animator, and then just copy on the top right. And then go back and open that up.
And then I copy paste.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta make sure you're on dark. And then it should be opening.
Place for me to.
Based on your hit and install on the top right. Yeah. So Unity has like tools that they've made with Visual Studio.
Oh, this one took 6 gigabytes at least.
You shouldn't need it though. You should be able to. So in the Solution Explorer,
Oh, well, not.
or
Sorry. Yes.
no. Hit resume. Make sure it installs. It shouldn't take long at all.
Okay. Well, it's too late. Here.
Fuck. Okay. Try it again.
Check.
Open. No.
Yeah, you're right.
No. Shit.
It's alright.
Let's see. Try it again.
With hope it'll work.
No. It's try again. Open it up again.
Dreams, please. Yeah. Okay, I gotta update our visuals.
Yeah. For now, you can really just open up a.
And then
Go to Unity,
Unity?
and then right-click on it and select Show and Explore.
Show and explore.
And then right-click on that
Right click.
and select Open with Text Editor. Hit.
Another one.
Okay, no, never mind.
Notepad?
Yeah, Notepad, something like that. Yep. And then just paste now. Yep.
And then there should be a save button, I guess. And then that should be it.
Yep. Yeah, code is just text files, man.
It's just a glorified text file.
Literally one missed character and the entire program is just not worth anything. So drag on the player animator onto the player object on the hierarchy.
Player object here, right?
Yep.
Here we go.
And then now you have this component, and then here it's going to need an animator. So you can drag from character 1 into that, because character 1 has an animator on it. And so that'll reference that, and then try hitting play, and you'll see the character starts moving around. They won't actually move, but you'll see like the idle is playing. But now we're gonna fix like the character controller because there's like a bug inside of there. All good?
Yeah, which one? We're following the Notion.
I don't know. Do we supposed to have Wookiee animation ready?
The what?
Do we supposed to have Wookiee
No, no, no. There's a bug. It should be working, but there's a bug. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So if I go to my player animator, and in my update loop, I do debug.log. You don't have to follow along, but like just to see what I'm talking about, we're gonna debug what the velocity that we're getting is actually. So when we move around, you're gonna see it's all zeroed out, and the only thing that we do see is like gravity for 4, like when that was set. So what is happening is in the player controller, these two move functions, they're conflicting with each other because they're happening at the same exact time. So what we have to do is move our velocity application like into its own method, like into its own functionality. So we have to completely separate velocity from the movement that we actually want. So what we're going to do is set here velocity is equal, or sorry, we're going to do a vector 3 in our player controller on top of our character, on top of the controller.move for handle movement. So inside of here, we're going to do vector 3, new velocity, is equal to move times move speed times delta time. So I'm just going to copy and paste all that in here for new velocity. And then after, we're going to set our velocity is equal to new velocity dot x. We're going to use our original velocity dot y. And then we're going to change new velocity dot z. And then when I put in here for velocity now, for my character.move function, you'll see it gets applied here. So these are the code changes that we made. So we are just trying to separate this velocity application from that move function. So it's not, we're not calling it 2 times. And so we're going to do the same for gravity. Is everybody caught up here? Okay. So I'm going to comment here what we had originally and what it was, what it's now. So we're just really declaring this new vector 3, copying this into it, and then declaring this brand new vector 3 with a new map for the x and z. No. I can put it up on Notion, actually, and we can just finish this up, and then I can put it up on Notion, if that works. But it's very minimal code change, definitely. It's 2 small changes. We'll make sure everybody's updated.
We added the first 2 lines, but we just wanted to make sure if we change this 3rd line here.
The 3rd line,
Or did we do anything?
that one, no, actually, that 3rd line, let me delete it, just to not complicate. So, no, you guys are, yeah, you remove yours. You guys,
How many frames is calculated? Depends how fast character gonna
Package with errors?
That's why you have to multiply
um,
the change in position by delta time.
let me see what the
it's not
error
gonna be
is.
the same movement even if you have a like good laptop.
Oh, yeah, this is from the packages that I set up. Like, there was like a
Frames per second, like 20.
text editor weird merge conflict, so
And
don't have to worry about that one.
always have to consider delta time.
What we need to do to catch up.
Man, it would be a lot. I would recommend just like keeping up on this side with them, and then we're gonna publish like the content like a zip file
Oh,
for the like to catch up. Like at the 3rd one, you'll just be able to download a zip from where we left off here, and just be able to resume.
oh.
Okay, guys. So you can delete that last line, and then you're all good. Delete that line, delete that line.
The one down here?
Yep. Good.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. Next, let's update the gravity function. So we're just going to do the same thing here. So I'm just going to actually comment this out. And we're going to set our... we don't have to change anything, actually. We just have to comment that line out. So just comment out the last line inside the apply gravity function. Get rid of it. And then in our update method, we're gonna add in the controller.move and just feed it the velocity. All right, so we're moving, we're giving it the velocity. And now when I hit play in Unity, you're gonna see the velocity is actually updating. Like when I move around, the velocity is now properly getting updated. You'll see it by when you move around, it should trigger your animation, and then the animation is gonna play one loop and then stop. We're gonna add the looping in just a second, but let's make sure everybody's caught up.
I don't know if it updated.
We're gonna add something.
Yeah, but I didn't see the first loop today, so. Yeah. No loop.
Let me see.
You tell me, may have a problem. He's gonna fall. You have like so many tabs of this thing open. Why do they keep opening so many?
I have no idea. This is Nikita's computer. I have no idea what's going on here. I don't want to change anything. Okay,
That's
so you need to make sure you save.
oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
You guys still have problem with this moment. I don't know why. Is it 4K?
Why? They fixed it. They didn't save the file. This should be fixed. The name time only does not exist.
Oh, I think.
Where is it?
Time only. Right there.
Yeah, save.
Yeah. You do Command S to save.
Oh, okay.
Time does not contain indefinite. Okay. T is also not capital.
Okay, we can wait till he taps off this thing open.
Okay, that's not it.
Maybe close the wrong one.
I don't know. Let me just give me one sec.
Anyone know these
Hey Nikita, do you know why you keep on opening like a new window every time you open up a new script? Every time you open up any script?
I have no idea actually.
Jesus Christ, dude. I'm dying on here.
Is it the problem?
Yeah, it is a problem, dude. How could it not be a problem? Let me see. Pickles.
Pickles.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Nikita, did you install the Unity tools?
Install what?
The Unity tools for Visual Studio?
Yeah, I have Visual Studio.
But do you have the Unity tools? That's gonna be like a 2 gigabyte download.
It's doing us.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Bro.
but like 2 more there.
I know.
It's jumping around there.
Dude, we just need to change one character. Okay. Yeah, that's probably what's gonna have to happen. So there you go. It just loops one time. Do you want to set them up with VS Code? Because they're gonna keep on having to edit more code. All right, what's going on here?
Yeah. So when we run the code, here, let me run it again, just in case. But when we run it, it just changes direction. The model, it doesn't move.
Okay, go to your code.
Yes.
And underneath here, you're gonna want to put in character dot controller dot move. Let me open up the script again. But you're gonna put it inside the function.
Inside the function?
Inside the
handle?
squirrely brackets. No, inside the function update. Like scroll up. That's a function update, and then you need the code inside the bracket. But at the end. At the end. All right, at the end of the update, that's where you're gonna put it. You're gonna need controller dot move velocity.
How would I be? How would I be able to create a new animated object?
Say it again.
Like with this step right here.
To create a new animator object. So go to Unity and right click on the open up game. Create a new folder for animations. The character controller. The player animator is on there. The character controller is not.
Okay.
We made just live changes.
Okay.
Do you need me to update it?
No,
we just made
we
two
just
very
got-
minor changes.
We just got to the part where we're adding the player animator script, so I was just wondering if it was on the version.
The player controller needs to be updated.
Okay.
Did you guys update that?
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. You're gonna need to do that.
Okay. Go to the.
Let me post it on Notion. Okay, I posted on Notion. Lewis, the controller. The animator's already been on there. Okay, so let's fix the looping issue and then we are done with the animations. So let's select our animations, the 2 that we have. We could actually select all these animations inside other animations, but make sure the ones that you have inside the state machine are the ones that you have selected here. And then under other animations, put in, for loop time, add the check mark. And that's all you have to do. You just have to turn on loop time. And it's going to indicate to the animation that it loops. And then now you can hit play in Unity, and you'll see you'll be able to walk around forever. All right, that's it. We actually have to set up the Unity package, but do you want to do that? Like for the island and the shaders? The content pack? Okay. All right, so next, make sure you guys have the Unity package installed for the content pack. Nikita's going to continue the workshop, but it's important that you have this content pack installed. So download the Unity package from Notion and hit the download button on the top left. So download it and go to Unity and open up the Unity package. So go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and select the package that you just downloaded. So we're going to select Custom Package and then download Content Pack 2. So you go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package. Select the package. And then just import the package. All right, so it added in a prefabs folder, and inside the prefabs folder, there's a island. So we're gonna open up our scenes window. We're gonna select our island and just drag it in. Let's just drag it into the hierarchy. So just drag it into the hierarchy. Let's set the position to 0, 0, 0. And we can see we have this little island set up. So I'm gonna change the scale to about 3 to make it a little larger. And then let's move it up to about 4. So the Y 4 and the scale 3 in every direction. You don't open the prefab, you just drag the prefab into the hierarchy. And then set these transform values for the island. 0, 4, 0 for the position, and 3 for the scale. No, it's under the game folder under prefabs. Okay, all good?
I'm trying to import. For some reason, it says like all the things important, but I don't see prefabs.
Well, we see them in the drawing area.
You guys have the same issue?
I'm a bit slow.
But I'm just making sure it's allowing me to click all, but some of these are just grayed out.
Is it a big deal or?
Which one? No, that's the wrong package. That's the starter package.
Cozy Garden?
You're gonna need the
Does it say 2?
yeah,
When I
content pack 2.
Yeah, when I click that, it brings me to the
Really?
Cozy Garden start.
You guys are on the first URL or the second Notion page? Okay, that's my bad, guys. That is my bad. Okay, that should be the new one. All right, I updated the link. Guys, you're gonna have to re-download. I'm so sorry about that. So once you have that second one, it'll be like some shaders, materials, and then some prefabs.
player animator script,
Mhm.
but what do we do next? Do we add this script to the player?
Yep.
But
Did you
then-
update the player controller also?
Yeah, we updated it.
And then drag character 1 for the animator.
Oh, it is like that. Okay.
And then click on character 1, just make sure the animator's set. Make sure this is using the player, not character movement.
Alright, fire.
And then just set player. It should be working now. No. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see.
Oh my gosh, you scared me.
Okay, it is working. So it is updating. Here has exit time. What this means is it's gonna have to wait until this exit time is set. So exit time is gonna have to wait until the animation's 75% through until it can exit. That's why, like, for example, if I keep walking, like, for example, right here, nothing happens, but wait, if I wait for about, like, the three-fourths of the way through, then it can do it. So if we just disable has exit time, it disables that, and it just can transition at any time. Hold up. Has exit time. Okay, fixed duration is also on for some reason. So that, it fixes it so it at least plays for, like, the entire length. Okay, and this is also still not working. Oh, okay. The conditions aren't even set. So here we're gonna have to set the logic for the transitions, and you can specify a condition for, like, greater than, we're gonna do greater than 0.5, we're gonna transition to walking, and then we're gonna have another one for less than 0.5 to transition back to idle. And so now when you walk around, it transitions. It transitions, but there's, like, something weird going on here. Oh, yeah, so it does it idle. What we had to do was select all these animations and enable loop time, and that just tells Unity that they can be looped. Okay, I see what's happening. So the transition time is, like, this is weird. Interruption, offset. For some reason, this is, like, a really long transition. So just set this to 0.1 for each one.
Fire.
Mostly, I don't know why it takes so long to just go. What if we
the
do
speed
this
is greater
transition
than,
here?
than like a smaller value?
Nuh-uh, this is a really, his value goes up to 5. So I'm gonna delete these ones, and then I'm gonna just go straight into it. I'm gonna disable can transition itself so it doesn't keep repeating. Like, it doesn't keep transitioning to itself. And then under here, condition greater than 0.5. And then here, less than 0.5.
Just cancel it out.
And then this one, can transition itself, should be off. There we go.
Nice. Okay.
All set up.
See the difference.
Right?
There's a lot smoother, yeah.
Small things, you know, small things. All set up, guys? You got the island?
So we need to download a new package?
Yeah, the content package. And then import it.
Yeah, so we imported the assets.
Can you re-import the package again?
Oh,
So
yeah.
like download it, because I put the wrong link, so you have to make sure that you download the right one. Yep. Content pack 2.
Here we go.
Yep, and then download this one
Download this
and import it. And then now just drag, like expand the prefabs folder now.
This one?
Open it up. Go to islands and drag the island 0 into the hierarchy.
Hierarchy.
Just like at the very
Oh,
bottom.
just-
And then change the scale to 3 and the position Y to 3. Or 4.
X, like-
Yeah, X, Y, Z to 3. And then change Y to 4.
Y to, oh, position?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Alright.
Alright, caught up. You guys are caught up. Oh yeah? Does it move?
From the code, it moves, but it doesn't have any animations. So let me run it again. So it moves now because we changed the code, like how you told us to. It's just like this.
Okay. So here you want to make sure that the player animation is the controller.
Oh,
And then let's see if that changes anything.
yeah, that might be one.
And then try move it. No,
Oh.
that's also not working. Okay, yeah, it did. But these transitions, they have like exit time on.
Oh.
And that for some reason causes it to wait until this percentage is reached in the animation. Like it needs to go 75% through before it can transition out. So now this needs the conditions set up. So greater than 0.5, we're going to transition to walking.
Oh, he's still 0, I think. Yeah.
Oh, number lock.
Oh.
And then
Sorry.
here you're going to set up speed less than 0.5. So that one's greater than, this one's less than, and then this one doesn't have exit time either. There we go. Okay. So now the walking, you need to make sure that it has the animation set.
Yeah.
So it's trying to go to an animation that doesn't exist. So we need to
Okay.
feed it walk forward.
Oh.
For idle, idle relaxed.
Oh.
And then
I had idle right, but not walking.
And then we want to make sure these are also all loopable. So we need to mark on loop time, and that just tells Unity that it can loop.
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Like,
All right.
How you link the animator like to the script?
The animator takes in the character controller. So it just needs to be on the player. Is it on the player?
Open the player.
And then you want to add the player animation component to this object.
So do I drag it into here?
You drag it onto the player. The player object. Like as a component onto the object. So delete that object and click on the player and just drag it into the inspector, player animation. No, on the player, and just drag player animation into the inspector at the bottom.
Right here?
Yep. And then, there you go. Did you copy over the script from Notion?
Yeah.
Can you open it? Can you save it? And then in Unity, you're gonna be able to assign it there. Yeah, you just have to delete the plane. I was gonna delete the plane, but you can do that.
loops disappear for some reason, so it got back to like running the animation once and then stopping. So, but we got it, we added it back again.
Nice. Let's go, guys. What did you change? You deleted you changed the script or you changed the animation?
We
No,
made sure it loop.
we added the loop time.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
last device missing.
Nice. Nice.
And then try hitting play. Did you update the character controller code for Velocity?
No.
And then also go into Notion and copy over the player. You want to update the player controller so you can expand the project.
Okay, guys. From this point, we're gonna continue with the second part for our game. Again, we're gonna enhance with shaders. Let's go. So from last time, if you remember, we implemented the shader. If you were on the workshop, we implemented the shader which was using the world coordinates to use texture and sample on the ground. So today we're gonna update material and shader. So it's gonna make much more funny stuff. It's hard to see there, but it's gonna be like some noise difference on the ground. Yeah. Okay. Today I'm not gonna force you to write the shader like we did last time. I decided to provide the shaders itself like in the package. So if you go back to the Unity, as you can see in the shader folder, you already have like 2 shaders. So shader ground, this is the one we used to do last workshop. If you double click on the shader ground, you can open it. I prefer to open it full screen. Right there. Okay. So that's how it's supposed to look like in the package. Let's go step by step. So this part have to be familiar. This is the one we did last workshop. So if you haven't been there, I'm gonna explain it again. We have a function for the shaders, which is actually explaining how we supposed to like map the texture on the screen. And it's supposed to have 2 inputs, like the texture itself. We provide just the image data and the coordinates that explain how to map this texture. So last time we used world position to create a new vector, which is using the x and z. So as you can see in the split function, which is taking like all the components position has. It has x, y, z, and w, but don't care about this one. So we're using the x and z component to create a new vector and provide this as the coordinates to sample texture 2D. What we're gonna do today, we're gonna introduce a new function called blend. What it does, it allows us to provide several textures or like colors and use different blending methods to like give one single the output of the color. Okay, so as you can see, have 3 inputs we need to provide as the base, like the base color, which gonna be the one we're gonna change, the blend, the second color or the texture, which is gonna change the previous one. And opacity is the factor which gonna explain how much is supposed to be changed. So usually opacity is like from 0 to 1. So 0 is like mean 0 blending we're gonna use, and 1 is like 1. It's gonna mean we're gonna use the full new texture. Okay. Did you guys open the shader graph? Does anyone have problems with opening the shader graph on this point?
We have problems with
So for the base, we just need to connect the things we did on the previous workshop and give it to the base input. Yes. And to create a second texture, like behind the scene, I just created a second input called texture2 of type texture2D. So it means in our material, we're going to have one more input for the texture, which we can provide. So if we look right there, we have a second sampler, which exactly like the sampler for the previous texture. We're just using the different texture input. So we have a texture 1 for first sampler and texture 2 for sampler 2. And we also need to provide the coordinates for this sampling. Since we want to like have the things the same, we're gonna provide the same exact input as UV as we did for the previous texture sampling. So just connect these two nodes, the vector2 and sampler texture as UV input. And before we dive into opacity, I want to explain a small theory. Okay. For the game dev, there's one very important topic called noise functions. This is not the stuff only that we use in shaders, but we can use it like even in the C# scripts. For example, if you want to add some randomness to your movement or like maybe some game logic. The noise function is just a smooth control randomness value that changes across the space. And it could be different types. And it all depends on the formula you're using and some bunch of inputs. But I think the one most familiar one is this one. So as you can see, it's using black and white colors, where white means we're using 1, and white means we're using, opposite. Black means we're using 0, and white means we're using 1. So, and across these two values, there could be some gradients, which can be changed. So for example, noises like that could be used for the ground. If you have some map like for your game, it could be explained by some noise functions, for example. So the pure white is going to be, for example, the mountain, and the black is going to be like the ground. And between them, we have like smooth gradient of the height. All right. So as with the texture, we can sample it by using UV coordinates. In our case, we're going to use the same as we use for textures. And yeah, as I mentioned, we use it to drive random movements, variation, and distortion. So many cases of usage. It's going to be very important for our next topics we're going to talk about. So again, in the shader, I already provided the usage for the noise. So the function itself just called the simple noise. If you're going to do it in your own project, just find a node called simple noise. And it has two inputs we need to provide. The first one is, as I mentioned, UV. So how, as any texture, it's supposed to be mapped on your screen. And the second one is the scale, because it could be like, depending on like the size of your texture, your noise is going to be different. So if you take like the small size, on the whole like world you're giving, it's gonna be like maybe 50-50 change. But if you're giving like more the size of the actual noise, there's gonna be much more difference in the values. So as a noise scale, we also provide the input, which we can then define in the material, called the noise scale of type float. It's already connected right there. And as UV coordinates, we just need to take the value from our vector 2 and connect it to our UV. Nice. So right now, we have our textures and we have our noise. It's time to just connect them right there. But before we just giving actual noise value to our blend function, I want to mention one more thing called the step. Step is some shader-only function, which is allowing us to decrease the gradient between the values. So for example, if before we had like 0 and 1, and between these two values we had like 0.1, 0.2, right now we have only 0 and 1. So if we put 0.5, it explains that we only want two type of values, 0 and 1, which allow us to create a much greater difference on the material we're going to use. Okay, so the only thing left is take the output from the step function and connect it to opacity. And if you press save button in the up left corner, it's very important, you can go back to Unity. And we're gonna create, we're not gonna create new material. We're gonna use the one provided. Does anyone not having material grass in their material folder? Can I have thumbs up if you have material? All right. So in this material, we need to change the default shader provided by Unity to our custom one. So we need to go shader graph, and use shader ground. Okay. So as you can see, we have three types of input: our first texture, second texture, and our noise scale. So as a first texture, we're gonna use the grass 1, and for the second, the grass 2. As you can see, there's like difference in the color. So the second one is much darker. So when we're gonna use blending, we're gonna have like the spots with mixing of the light green and the dark green. And as a noise function, we can type any value, but I prefer something like 3 or 4. Let's play around with it. So now it's time to actually use the material we just did. And we're going to use it on our island prefab we just did. So let's delete the plane. Yeah. And in this scene, you can press this thing. Like if you press the Y value, you're gonna like move the camera on the like horizontal position, and from there it's like much easier to apply the material. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna take the material we just did and drag it onto the plane. So we have to do it manually, like tile by tile. Do you have a better option?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, ain't no way he's doing each one individually. All right, so the best way to do it is gonna be all right. So just click on one of the tiles, and then Yeah, so click on one of the tiles and then select the name in the inspector and just search for it in the hierarchy. And you're going to see all these types. Select them all, and then in the drop down for materials, just drag the material grass. Then you need to paste the name in the search. So
The whole thing.
the whole thing. Otherwise, other things are going to come up.
Then you should just copy it.
Yeah, so copy it from the other side. But that's not the one. That's a different one.
This one? No.
Select the grass again.
You see, it's not
Oh, you mean,
applying to
yeah.
the tiled.
Find one of the grass. Huh?
You see, it's applied like to the center, but like.
Do you need the other ones?
Yeah, when you go over there.
Shift. Hold shift like you would select like multiple files, Lewis. So select, keep clicking in the scene view until you have one of these orange outlines around this mesh. Then once you have that selected, you have the object selected. So now we copy the name of it and put it in the search bar of the hierarchy, and we can find all the copies that we have of it. And then select all those copies, and then in the mesh render, expand materials and replace the material with mat_grass. And then the other pieces are going to have to be done manually. So do the same process where you're selecting one and holding down Control or Command. You can select all the other ones around. And then do the same for changing the grass.
What about these two?
Which one? Oh, yeah. And make sure you're selecting these ones on the edges also. All right, so for the center ones, you have to actually select them separate from the exterior ones. So just make sure everything's all set up in general. That's all we need.
not forced to use the inputs I showed on the screen. So for example, if material, you can like play with the noise function.
Here's the mic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can play with the noise. For example, put instead of 3, put 2, like 1.4, like depending like the style of your game and your own vision as developer, how you want it. And I want to do one more material. So in material folder, we're going to create new material called material send. Okay, and in this material, we're going to use the same shader. So we're going to the shader graph, again using shader ground. But instead of using the grass textures, we're going to use the second pair, which is called send1 and send2. Yeah, and provide the same noise. So if we're going to apply this material to the sound tiles, as you see, it's like we're using the same program for the GPU, but because we're using different inputs, it looks different. So again, you can select them in your hierarchy, or either just drag and drop as I prefer. Yeah.
What if you don't have the same material? The material
That's the one we just created, so yeah, you have to do it yourself.
And then you have to select the shader and it's not on your shader graphs. Your drop down.
So yeah, that's how it looks like. But again, I'm not forcing you to use exact setup I was using. For example, if you go to the shader code back, there's few things you can change. For example, in the blend function, right now it stays to overlay. So it means the colors are just like added together. So for example, if we're using some light textures, they're going to just be added together. It's not the same output we wanted to. So for example, we can use either override, which is going to make things like that. Maybe you prefer it. I don't know. And yeah, just play around with it, and it's going to be all right. Yeah. That's actually all the shader stuff we had. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we got lost.
So shader graph.
No, wait. You don't need to create new shader. So this is the thing. You can have one shader, but have multiple materials. So they're gonna use the same instructions, but depends on the input. You're gonna have a different one.
Yeah, so how do we add that grass?
So maybe we just copy my grass and
Yeah. Why not? You can
Like
just
duplicate?
duplicate.
Yeah.
Like Command D, I suppose?
Commands. Okay, like that. Rename it if you want to.
Just,
Yes, send and just provide different
texture.
textures. Yeah.
Send to there.
so how would you do it normally? Because we just duplicated it.
I mean, the same. You can just create new material and just provide the same shader.
Oh,
So-
so there, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's where we got lost on.
my bad. And
No, it's fine.
now you're just using
This
it
again.
right
Yeah,
there.
you just
Yeah, manually, like up to you. So yeah.
You do this. I probably do the last one. Like this, when I think of it.
Okay.
It's defaulting to one of them and factoring in the other.
Go back to your shader code.
Shader code. Where would that be?
So it's in the shaders. Open shader ground.
Shader ground. Yes.
Double click.
Double click.
All right.
Let me open it.
Mhm.
Yes.
So as you can see, you forgot to provide the second texture.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the opacity, because this is the function that actually like mixing textures together. So if you're using the output from the second texture, yeah, this is the color. So you're giving first color, second color, and explaining how much we want to mix it. So if it's 0, it's like we're using only first texture. If it's 1, we're using only second one. If it's in the middle, we're going to mix it. So this mixing factor is going to be the noise function. So as you can see, we're using the noise, then we're using the step, so we only get 1 and zeros. So if you connect to the step function and save, yeah, if you go back to the project, it's supposed to be working. Wait, what? Go back to the
Yes.
shader.
Shader
There's some problem with, oh yeah, I know why. Yeah,
I think it's just me.
no. Okay, as you can see, we forget to provide the UV for the noise.
UV.
So we need to give the same vector of 2 we're using for textures for the noise function. So if you save it again,
Do I need anything for scale, or is it just that?
no scale, as you can see, is just like the thing we can change per material. So if you go back, it's supposed to be, yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So, and if you open the material grass, yeah,
Grass.
yeah, you can change this input, like type different color types. As you can see, it's gonna be like zoomed out or zoomed in, depends on your style of the game, you know. Yeah, and based on that, for example, if you wanna make them move, you can just like keep adding the time to your in the shader, and it's gonna be moving. Or maybe you wanna like make more distortion, you can try different type of noise. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's all. You wanna wrap
That's
up?
it?
Yeah.
I can wrap it up. Anything else you want to say? All right, guys. That's as far as we got for the workshop. The next workshop, I was trying to get to the digging plots. So being able to see a pop-up on the screen that says press E to interact when you're nearby a plot. And then next workshop, so we'll resume here at the next workshop. We'll go over like programming principles, programming patterns, Unity programming patterns, the design principles, and then this is essentially like what it should look like. You'll see like different colored grass, and you can walk near it and press E. And then vertex shaders.
Yeah, and for these shaders, we're gonna be introduced with new type of shader called vertex shader. It's the one which allows us to modify like the points of actual objects. It's gonna be so cool. We're gonna do some crazy stuff with math, like shaking our crops. Yay! Let's go. Yeah, and that's all actually.
All
Okay.
right, and then next workshop is going to be the week after this week. Next week is spring break, so
Hope to see you guys there.
yeah, and then we'll resume workshop 3. We'll post. We posted the video for workshop 1. We're gonna post this next one, and then we'll put all the content that we finished up here and let you just like download it as a zip file and resume like exactly where we left off here.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I think we did
Much better.